Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. So we're in day 27 today. Nice that you've all come for our Vraja-mandala Parikrama and Ekadasi Brat. Also the disappearance day of our beloved Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaja today. And also the Avirbhav appearance day of Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj. So today is an exceptionally auspicious day, another exceptionally auspicious day. So we'll have our kirtan and then we'll discuss these two remarkable personalities.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Madhava Vedanta Narayaniti Namane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Dayita Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachariye Nilishesha Suryavadi Vastracharya Sasari Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Pristaya Bhutale Shri Srimati Jnana Keshava Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Dayita Swati Namine Nama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vrindarandite Shri Loka Shokharini Prashana Mantra Mangajaye Kunja Uvilasi Rajendra Bandharangini Rajendra Solo Sangate Rajakarishna Sriyama Kripaka Daksha Bhajana Vikshavallari Vitana Manda Pasite Pravala Vala Pallava Paranurangiko Vale Paramaya Surattare Prabhu Sampadalaye Tadagarish Sriyama Tripata Tashabhajanam Vandavandavamsandavandulavulam Savipravam Sasambranam Sriyantavadapadane Nirantaram Vashikrita Pradipinandanandane Kadagarisha Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Champaka Pradipta Gaura Vigrave Mukha Prabha Paramyatanti Saradendumagale Chitra Chitra Sancharan Chakora Sadalochane Grahadharishya Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Yodane Pramodamana Mandite Priyanurangite Adanya Danya Kunjarajatamate Komite Gradarisya Siyamam Vipaka Tashabhajanam Vallari Taranga Ranga Dolate Lataravasya Dolami Lalachana Vallari Nandano Dhamodano Hanashite Radarisya Siyama Tripata Tashabhajanam Kadambu Kandale Visuddha Mandali Guram Viradvati Sarola Nila Kuntala Pasuna Jagantite Radharisya Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Vrindavanavana Pushpame Kavalime Sajasvarana Prabhapamadhyamandune Arindra Vindra Randika Paroha Sobhadovate Kadatarisya Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Nadamanjulu Parada Bhagavat Samajaya Sanikwana Vidola Hema Ballari Vidam Vicharu Chandrami Charadari Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Ananta Vishnu Lokamana Padmajarite Vimadri Japuro Maya Virincha Japadamate Apara Siddhi Riddhi Vidya Satpadanguli Nate Nadajari Sriyamam Tripata Tashabhajanam Kriyeshwari Swareshwari Sureshwari Sriveda Bharateshwari Ramana Sarasweshwari Rameshwari Rameshwari Ramodakaneshwari Rajeshwari Rajarite Sriradhike Namostite Iti Mama Gunam Sarva Nisham Yamani Nandini Deva Sankita Trirupa Karmanasanam Mandava Sucharu Mandalam Sukarnaratna Kundalam Sucharchitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanandanam Dirganetra Pankajam Sikishikanda Murgajam Ananda Goti Mohanam Namami Nandanandanam Moktikam Swachandadanta Pantikam Navamudandatikanam Namami Nandanandanam Kareno Renu Vanditam Jatikavindranditam Rukula Vinta Shovanam Namami Nandanandanam Nandadeva Sundaram Sakatuti Sudakaram Amulyaratnabhushanam Namami Nandanandanam Nanda Sorabam Puro Virajita Subham Purat Namami Nandanandanam Sunagaram Vilasanurgavasam Surendradharmochanam Namami Nandanandanam Rajangana Sunayatam Sarasukha Pradayatam Jagannaha Praloganam Namami Nandanandanam Nandanandanam Adenya Radhaya Vida Jarendra Duskaram Kavetkaram Viyogatam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Gaura Premanandi, Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari, Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai, Radha Gopinath Ju Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Tirubhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Saptam Goswami Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnava Sabhavama Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shivata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hardas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Nam Bhajan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. The Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Purnamasi Dev Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai. Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautandvip Madhidvip Koladvip Ritujit Janadvip Potandvip Rudavip Atmakanavadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bandiravan, Badravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan. Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiavan, Kamyavan, Vraja-mandala Ki Jai. Urja Brat Ki Jai. Damada Brat Ki Jai. Chatumasya Brat Ki Jai. Abir Bhav Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj Ki Jai. Tirabhav Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai.
Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantamanapetyam Apetykrityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Benidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatosmi Anapitachirim Chirat Kurunavartino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Sadipita Sada Hradare Kandare Sparatu Vasachinandanaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyena Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandava pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all the Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarupyascha kripa sindhavevacha patitanam pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So today, Uttana Ekadasi, and we have the Tirabhav, Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, and we have the Avirbhav of Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava. And we're in Giriraj Govardhan, we're on Parikrama, and we're celebrating this Ekadashi. Every time when this Ekadashi comes, it always heralds the beginning of the end of our Parikrama. Our Parikrama has now another 4 days left to run. So it's an indication that we've come a long way during this Kartik month. And my Gurudev would always commend us that we've had success to this point. No one has died, no one has got too sick. The buses have kept on going. There hasn't been any great calamity, etc. So he would always be very grateful to Yogamaya Devi, to Krishna, to all the potencies that support our Parikrama that we can't see. So our Brat today, Ekadashi Brat, is certainly going to enhance the auspiciousness of our assembly without a doubt. So first of all, I'll speak a little bit about Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj. Namo Gaura-Kisoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murteye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambo Jaya Te Namaha. So this is his divine pranam mantra, and it would appear that the quality of Vairagya is prominent. But my Gurudev says, no, this is actually secondary to the Vipralamba Bhav that Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj, this separation mood that he had tasted through the strength and mercy we were discussing yesterday, these like two fingers. So through his own practice and through the kripa. His guru is Bhagavat Das Babaji, who was a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji. So Jagannath Das Babaji was very elderly at the time of Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj taking initiation. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj was in the householder life for approximately 30 odd years, 20 years in the household life, and but 10 years prior to that, just as a child, etc. So he took his birth in about the 1880s. 1830s. In about the 1830s. It doesn't say a specific date of his birth. And in his Grihastha life, he involved himself as a grain merchant. And he was never particularly academic. There's no history of universities or anything like that in his biography or descriptions. So actually, it's described that he was almost illiterate as far as his absorption in worldly academics, etc. So he was married, but then his wife passed away. And as soon as his wife passed away, he was married at quite a young age, but as soon as his wife passed away, he immediately left his business, left that home, etc. He took his birth in East Bengal, which is Bangladesh today, Bangladesh. That's where he took his birth. And that's basically where his pastimes as a married grihastha took place. But then as soon as his wife left this world, he immediately came to Vrindavan. And he sought initiation straight away into this Vaishnava line, and then he was accepted from Bhagavat Das Babaji. And then he began his bhajan in Vrindavan, the 168 miles circumference of Vrindavan. Then he wandered there for practically 30 years in all different locations, etc., absorbing the moods and speciality of Vrindavan and immersing himself in principally chanting Harinam. This was his principal focus. It's described that he often referred to two particular books, the Pratana and the, what's the other one? Prem Chandrika, I think it was. I'll come back to it. Pratna, yes. Yes. So Narottam Das's Pratana and this, I give you the name in a minute. I've forgotten the name for a second. Yes. Prem Chandrika, yes. So this was the two books that he had. So it's described in the Shastra that there are two types of devotees. There's the Bhajananandi and there's the Goshtianandi. The Bhajananandi, he is on a very exalted level that is incomprehensible practically to the conditioned souls. He doesn't come down to the Madhyam to preach. Whereas the Goshtianandi, he will come down, he will sacrifice his bhajan, and he will come down to the Madhyam platform in order to preach to the conditioned souls. So these are personalities like Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, like my Gurudev, etc. So many of the acharyas in our line have come down from that Uttam level to the Madhyam level in order to preach. But there are some, the Bhajanandis, who don't come down like that. And they remain they feel great sympathy for the suffering of the conditioned souls, but they themselves don't necessarily feel that they are qualified to teach. Their humility is so profound. They're feeling that their qualification to actually preach and guide is not sufficient. And they are so much aware of the presence of the Lord in every single atom of existence that they just are in astonishment with the Lord's arrangements, etc. And they don't feel that urgency to teach and travel, etc., like that. So they are called Bhajanandis. So this is the adhikar, because it's something that is described as is very individual. It's like Mahaprabhu had many different disciples and they had different adhikas. Nityananda he ordered to preach in Bengal. Haridas Thakur he ordered to do his bhajan. The 6 Goswamis he ordered them to go and renovate the holy places of Vrindavan. So many different examples of the devotees' services, etc., and what Mahaprabhu wanted them to, what activities to perform, support of his mission. We see personalities like Burgaba Goswami. He was like a Bhajananandi also. He was the uncle of Lokanath Goswami, who was also like that. So they just lived a very reclusive life and immersed themselves in their bhajan. And just like Lokanath Goswami, he had one exceptional disciple, Narottam Das Thakur. So even though he didn't do any direct preaching himself, look at the wave of love and affection that Narottam actually contributed to the world. And in the same instance with Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, he only had one disciple, Bhaktisiddhanta Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he carried the torchlight into the next generation of Vaishnavas from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this was like the essential link between Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't want directly to give his son Diksha. He'd already given his son Harinam initiation. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had been chanting Harinam since before the age of 7. He'd got the mantra from his father, but he didn't want to give that Diksha in the line because then it would start to look like a family affair. Like they have very attached to this in India in particular, like with the various politicians and actors and so on. They like to maintain their family lineages, but this guru line is nothing to do with seminal family lineages. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's described that he pointed out Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It's described that in 1887 is when Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, he moved from Vrindavan, from Braj, across to Navadvip, because he had heard that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had discovered the Yogpit, the birthplace of Srila Satchidananda Gaura Hari. So he wanted to actually experience that. So he came across in 1897 is when he came across here to Navadvip. And he describes himself that in his humility, this is the distinction between the Bhajanandis and the Goshtianandis. The Bhajanandis, they are both on the same level in a sense, but the Bhajanandis don't feel that they have, that they feel such deep humility in their practice of their bhajan, because this is the current of bhajan, is that real humility. And we see in the life of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji in particular, there was nothing at all fictitious or false about him. He had actually given up, probably since childhood. He didn't have an attitude of wanting to attract attention to himself. He had never had that. That was his previous sanskar, perhaps from another birth, whatever. Although these personalities are not taking birth in the same way, they're actually manifesting. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj is sometimes described as Guna Manjari and sometimes Kasturi Manjari. Both of these gopi names are attributed to him. So this is not an ordinary personality that we're talking. Nevertheless, we should understand with all of these personalities, from their own perspective, they feel completely ordinary, like a conditioned soul. They're not feeling when they're younger, oh, actually my real nature is a Nitya Siddha Parika of the Lord or something of that nature. They're never feeling like that. This identity, their Swarup, their Siddha Deha, will be manifested in later years in their life, and they will perform their upasana, their worship accordingly, but they won't be having that conception of their elevated personality, because that would just obstruct their bhajan if they were thinking that they were on such an exalted level like that. So he's recorded as saying, because Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, after he took initiation in 1898, it's described, a year after Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj came to Navadvip. Then he took initiation at that time. And he recorded so many glorifications about his Gurudev. And they're called Amar Prabhu Katha. And they were actually published in the what is called the Harmonist today, that Toshan magazine, and the Patrika later on. All these letters that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati wrote about directly his relationship with his Gurudev. So we have first-hand descriptions of the mood and quality of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's relationship with Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. And he glorifies in one place his two gurus, he's saying, his father and Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. And he says they were so kind to this fallen, conditioned soul that they picked me up. And there's a very beautiful passage that I want to read, describing the mood of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati when he meets his guru. And let me see if I can find it. I'll just read a little bit here. This is from Rupa Vilas's Ray of Vishnu, it's called, and he credits all of the content of this book and another little book about Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji directly to these letters that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati has written directly that were actually published. So he writes in 1898, ask that person, just keep quiet, 1898, after Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had constructed his residence in Navadvip Dham at Godam Dweep, he called it Swananda Sukada Kunj. And sometimes after the discovery of Lord Chaitanya's birth site by the Thakur and Sri Jagannath Das Babaji, Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji arrived in Navadvip Dham to see the site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth and to hear the discourses of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this is where the relationship actually was inspired, that Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj wanted to take shelter. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is like a god brother, because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes shelter of Jagannath Das Babaji. So Jagannath Das Babaji's disciple, Bhagavat Das, has initiated Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. So Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji is feeling very comfortable being with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They're in exactly the same dhara, the same current, the same line. So Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji would come and listen with rapt attention to the discourses that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur would give in Swananda Sukada Kunj. So at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur indicates to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, you should accept this personality as your Diksha Guru. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, it's described, he examined this personality, and he found that within the 24 hours of the day, there was not a single moment when this person was not deeply engaged in his Harinam Bhajan. There was not even a moment. And he says, if there had been like 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds, he would not have accepted him. If he'd found there had been some break in his absolute focus on his bhajan. So this is the personality of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. Totally, totally, totally immersed every moment, every waking moment, every sleeping moment. And we know that he would beg Madhuka for his foodstuffs, or he would take prasadam, or he would cook for himself, or he would fast. Many times, if prasadam wasn't there, he would quite happily fast, or he would eat the clay or the mud from Ganga Devi. Previously, he'd done the same in Radhakund and eaten the mud from the bank of Radhakund. But all of these external things are nothing in comparison to his internal Vipralamba mood of separation from Radharani, because he's given us this beautiful song, Kotai Gaur Premamai Radhe Radhe. This is a very beautiful bhajan that describes, he's saying, O Radha, who are full of prem, where are you? Radhe, all glories to you. Radhe, give me your darshan and save my life. Your wretched beggar calls out to you, Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, you engage in amorous pastimes in Vrindavan. Radhe, you are the enchantress of the mind of Krishna. Radhe, you are the crest jewel among the 8 principal Sakis. Radhe, you are the charming daughter of Brishabhanu Maharaj. So this mood was always bubbling joyously in the heart of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. Simultaneously, he was very, very direct in his dealings, in cutting through the conditioned illusion of so many souls who would come to him. Different souls would come to him and want to have his darshan, etc. And then there was a time when he was sitting in a cottage, just in a little reed chair, and a wealthy merchant was coming, and he'd heard from his attendants, oh, this man is very devotional, etc. And Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji just took one look at him, and then he closed the door. And then the man was banging on the door saying, please, I'd come all the way for your darshan. So then Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, he calls out from behind the door, that will cost you 2 rupees. And then the man steps right back from the door and he gives the attendant 2 rupees. And then Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj opens the door, and then he has his darshan. And Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj is saying, instructing him straight away, don't look for any type of pleasure in this material world. You know, if you have your wealth, utilize it in Krishna's service like this. And he basically cuts right, because this man was very much proud of his donations and so on. And Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj is immediately saying, well, whose wealth is it that you're using? This is not your wealth. This doesn't belong to you. Why are you trying to claim that? So you should see yourself as a total servant, a total submissive servant, and utilize all that wealth in the service of the owner of the wealth, Sri Krishna. Anyway, he speaks to him like this, and this man very humbly walks away. But this was the nature, this was the mood of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, that he would speak in a very, it's described that he had the mystic opulence of communicating directly with the supersoul of anyone who came in front of him. He would see directly what was their intention. Sometimes, you know, a young married couple came to him one time and they begged his mercy. And he said, okay, I will give you your mercy to do bhajan. You should not live together. You should live separately. So then the couple agreed. They went away and they lived separately. Then they came back after a few weeks, and so Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj said, so are you living separately now? And they said yes. And he said, are you eating separately? And they said no. And then Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj was explaining that all of the attachment that your wife has for you, she's putting it into the prasadam that you're taking. So how are you managing to become renounced from this material world? So he would describe it very graphically, very clearly like this, like with a cutting edge. So this was his mood always. Many people would come to see him, but he would not tolerate any type of hypocrisy or cheating. There was another time when a very wealthy man came, and apparently he was considered to be very, very devotionally inspired. And he was so much devotionally inspired, he was manifesting symptoms of ecstasy, that he couldn't even walk, that he had to hold on to a shoulder of a friend who brought him to see Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj. And all the assembled people, they all honored him and stood up, gave him a nice place to sit. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, immediately as soon as he saw him, he said loudly to everyone who was there, "This man is a cheater. He's an imposter." Straight away, he never in his life had any hesitation about speaking in a forthright manner. He was not controlled by the populace, not to any degree. He was like an avadut. He was on another platform. And this is why it's described that it's very hard to actually really describe such an elevated person. There's a beautiful quote in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Lila, chapter 23. It says, Danasyam navaprem, yaso militi chaitasi, antarvani bhye apya asya mudra shustu sudrugrama. And this is saying that even a most learned scholar cannot understand the activities and symptoms of an exalted personality in whose heart love of God has awakened. Understand? This was the condition of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj. This pure devotion had awakened fully in his heart, so he would do whatever he felt inspired and directed by Krishna directly. There's another anecdote, pastime. I want to read it because it describes it very clearly. This is titled, The Different Forms of Maya. This one I find very interesting. Once, during the rainy season, Srila Babaji Maharaj left his kutia and dwelt under the porch of a dharmshala in Navadvip. So he would move from place to place, etc. Rice prasad was kept there for him on a hanging rope shelf, so the ants wouldn't get it, right? In the rainy season, many insects, so it's kept on a hanging rope shelf. A poisonous snake slithered down the wall with the help of the rope shelf, took note of the aroma of the prasad, and started to move away. Seeing the snake, an old woman came running, crying, "A snake is about to bite you." Srila Babaji Maharaj, who was blind at this time, Srila Babaji Maharaj went blind because of the clay that he would eat. He would take no sorts of medications. He would never go to Calcutta to visit a doctor. There was a time when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was trying to encourage him to go to a doctor in Calcutta to have his eyes attended. And Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj said, "Never will I go to that city of Kali. I will never go to that place." And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he will take you and take all good care of you and give you a place to stay, etc., so you won't have to be touched by it." And then when Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj, he heard this, he became very animated. He said, "I will never take service from my Prabhu. I will never accept any type of service." He would call Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati his Prabhu, and he would never accept service from him. And to such a degree, he became so animated, he said, "I will leave my body if I have to take service from my Prabhu." And he ran away as if he was going to jump into the Saraswati here. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they stopped him and calmed him down. But then he went away and they didn't see him again for 45 days. It's described that he just wandered off. And when he came back, he said, "I can never accept service from anybody, particularly not one who has taken shelter of the mantras that I've given to him." So he had that mood completely. This is not normal. This is on a very, very high level. So it should never be imitated, this level, because the whole of his life was chastising imitators and hypocritical people. He would call them out. So this lady is calling out, "A snake is about to bite." Srila Babaji Maharaj, who was blind, beat the ground with his hand and then asked, "Where is the snake? Where is the snake?" In the meantime, the serpent disappeared. The old woman exclaimed, "Oh, Babaji Maharaj, have you gone mad? That snake could have bitten you. He has just disappeared to your right side. Had you extended your right hand a fraction more to the side, you would have been bitten for sure. We cannot allow you to stay here on the veranda." They wanted to give him a room inside. Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj told her, "Mother, you have inconvenienced yourself by standing here so long. You must be tired.
Please don't stand here any longer. The woman replied with determination. We can just imagine this sort of personality. I shall not leave this place until you go into your room. She's ordering him. Babaji Maharaj replied, I am going to accept prasadam now. First I will take prasad and then I will go into my room. The old woman continued to admonish him, saying, that prasad may have been touched by the lips of a snake. You cannot accept it, because if it is poisonous, you will die. I will bring fresh prasad for you. Srila Babaji Maharaj then firmly stated, I only accept prasad that has been offered to the deity, or which I have obtained through begging, and not otherwise. I do not take food offered by materialistic people. It's not prasad he's taking. It's the remnants of the foodstuffs left by the deity. It's not like, oh, now it's prasadam time, I'm just taking this. No, there was a mood of reverence towards the remnants of Thakurji. He certainly wasn't going to substitute that with something cooked by this, angry lady. Turning to one of Babaji Maharaj's attendants, the old woman asked, will you please arrange for more rice for Babaji Maharaj? Srila Babaji Maharaj then spoke more firmly, saying, my dear mother, if you do not leave this place, I shall not listen to anything else you have to say. Feeling rejected, the woman left. After some time, the Babaji asked the attendant if she had gone. Being answered in the affirmative, he remarked, did you see that? How Maya is acting? Babaji Maharaj says, he's pointing out, you see how Maya is acting? She comes in the form of this woman. How, under the pretension of sympathy, she tries to gain control. Do you understand? Sometimes women are like this. They want to create a sympathetic situation so they can control you. And then make you do this, make you jump around like a puppet. Everyone is nodding. We all understand this, but we come under the sway of this very easily, very quickly, when it comes upon us. She tries to gain control. See how she tries to gradually enter in various deceptive ways. Maya takes on various forms. She knows many tricks to cause the living entity to give up the worship of the Lord. Under different pretensions, she tried to make me enter my room, not accept prasad, and so forth. She tried all these manipulations. She never lets the living entity serve the Supreme Lord. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaja is totally dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Whatever the Lord will arrange, he's going to accept that. If the Lord wants to take his life, he'll accept that. If the Lord wants to save him, he'll accept that. In any condition, he's a sold out servant to the Lord. He's seeing it. He's nothing on the bodily platform whatsoever. So this, I think, is a very graphic example. Then the Paramahamsa began to loudly sing the following song by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. This is Gora Prahu, Na Bhaje Moinu. Not having worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga, I have met only ruin. I have lost the jewel of love of Godhead due to my own negligence. I have only given attention to that which is not real wealth and abandoned that which has actual value. I have sunk within the material world by the reactions of my own karma. Having left real association, I am performing materialistic activities. I have thus become conditioned by the grasp of past karma. I have tasted the poison of material sense gratification over and over again. So this is just one of many, many examples of the total disdain for material consideration in the pastimes of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. And of course, we know the most famous pastime, or one of the famous pastimes, when he decided that the stench of the latrine was more palatable than the stench of the lusty materialistic people. And he took up his residence in a public latrine to be avoiding the many even wealthy people that would come to see him. He had no agenda in this material world whatsoever. Therefore, he was freed from any type of flattering approach
by anybody. He had nothing to gain from this material. He was not in this material world. So his instructions were always very direct, but very few could actually accept those instructions. While he was in that latrine, there was another cubicle which was vacant next door, and another person moved in there trying to imitate him. And Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji, he was calling out, this is an imitation, this is hypocrisy what he's doing. He's just trying to imitate and so on. And it was in this place where Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj had darshan of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. He went there with a couple of brahmacharis, and they knocked on the door, and Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji is inside. He said, oh, I'm too tired to get up. I can't open the door. And then they said, oh, we are disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, your Shishya. So immediately, Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj gave them his darshan, let them in. So there are many pastimes about the remarkable nature of this personality. There was one time, if we can imagine, like 300 years ago here, 200 years ago here, how there was no automobiles, there was no roads like we have now. There was just tiny little trails. And a lot of the time, it rains very heavily here during the rainy season. Everything gets overgrown. But one time, Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj, he came from Kulia, from the other side of the Ganga, late at night. He came across to this island of Godrum, and he visited Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And everyone, because he's blind, he's completely blind by this time. Everyone was completely amazed. How did you possibly get here? Not only cross over the river, but navigate through the overgrown tiny little pathways. Almost the pathways weren't existing prominently at that time, but somehow he managed to come and be completely satisfied when he came. And he just said, oh, some boy helped me along. Some boy helped me come through here. And he was chuckling while he was saying like this. So they could understand the sort of, we can say, association that Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj would be, he would inspire Krishna, he would inspire Yogamaya to take care of his every single aspect of his, all his activities were completely like being taken care of by Yogamaya and Krishna directly. So this is the sort of personality who we are honoring today. My Gurudev used to say many times, we all want to come to the school of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj. We have no reason to go to these universities. We have no reason to be indulging in various scholastic studies, etc., to appease the conditioned world. We have no agenda to get PhDs, MAs, and all. This has nothing to do with the devotional path whatsoever. If we're trying to make an impression in the material atmosphere, then become a good, renounced devotee, a nirpeksha devotee. That will automatically, in the hearts of anyone who comes in front of you, immediately inspire them towards real devotion, not this pseudo, this fake devotion. So Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji was very much exposing this. And he requested that at the time of his departure from this world, that he wanted his body to be dragged through the dust of Navadvip by horses, that a noose be put around his neck and he be dragged through the dust of horses. This is the humble mood. And there's a beautiful first-hand description of one devotee who saw what actually transpired when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was there. So I'm just going to read this because it's very beautiful here. This is, let me just find this. So after the departure of Babaji Maharaj, Babaji Maharaj left in 1915. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur left in 1914. Sri Jagannath Das Babaji left in 1913. 1, 2, 3 years in succession, these luminaries of the Gaudiya line left this world. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was the last remaining upholder of that lamplight of divine knowledge that had emanated from Rupa Goswami taking its form in the heart of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and manifesting through to himself. And now he was alone to carry that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in 1915, after these three personalities in his life had disappeared. So it's described, after the departure of Babaji Maharaj, there were many types of opinions and disturbances over who would give his samadhi. Harila Goswami and a few other people met Padmanabha Brahmachari, alias Krishna Chaitanya Das, sent Padmanabha Brahmachari to Sridham Mayapur to fetch Srila Prabhupada. They were calling Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Srila Prabhupada at this time. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. They also told me to go with him. So this is the person who's writing this description. Crossing over the river by Kulia's ferryboat, I saw Prabhupada coming with bare feet and covered by a green chadar. With him was Sri Yukta Paramananda Brahmachari. It was that period of Chaturmasya, which is now. So he's just left now in Chaturmasya. Prabhupada's hair and beard were long. Seeing him, I prostrated my respect and told him in detail of the situation. The situation is that they are arguing about the body of your glorious Gurudev. After crossing the river by ferryboat, Prabhupada arrived at the Rani Dharmshala, which is on the other side of the river. Sometimes we talk about in Swananda Sukara Kunj, seeing from the balcony there across over into Navadvip and seeing the beautiful temple rising there. But actually this was not the place where it's described from. The place where that vision took place was from the Rani Dharmshala, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying there in the Rani Dharmshala. And the clerk also had vision of it from there. So if you, it's pretty much the same. And one is across the Saraswati, but one is across the Ganga. But it's the same mystical darshan that he had, but it was from the Rani Dharmshala. Srila Babaji Maharaj used to stay there. Various heads of Navadvip's Vaishnavas, Vaishnava gathering places had begun to argue amongst themselves over taking Srila Babaji Maharaj's spiritual blissful body, and they had begun to rise in order to give the samadhi. The reason being that in the future the samadhi of such a perfect great person could be used as an instrument to raise monetary income. Srila Prabhupada resisted such illegitimate attempts of theirs. In apprehension to breach the peace, Navadvip's inspector of police was then present at that place. The detective Rai Bandhu Yatinanath Singha Mahashai was then the Navadvip's inspector of police. Then after much controversy, the Babaji said, Saraswati Thakur is not a sannyasi. Therefore, he does not have the eligibility to give the samadhi of a person who has renounced his home. This is what they were implying. In reply to that, Prabhupada said in a loud voice like thunder, I am the only disciple of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj. Even though I have not accepted sannyas, I am a celibate brahmachari, and by the grace of Babaji Maharaj, I am not secretly addicted to abominable habits or involved in fornication as some monkey-like people are. If there is someone amongst the people present who is a renunciant of true stainless character, then he can give Babaji Maharaj Samadhi. We have no objection to that. He who within the last year or the last 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, or at least within the last 3 days had not had illicit contact with a woman will be able to touch this spiritually blissful body. If anyone else touches it, he will be completely ruined. Hearing these words, the inspector of police said, how will evidence be had for this? Prabhupada said, I will have faith in their word. We became amazed at seeing them all. After Prabhupada's words, the people present, wearing the attire of Babajis, one by one, turned their backs. The inspector of police was speechless. So this is a very powerful experience that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati manifested to chase the false Babas away from the divine body of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji. This is his power. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had been engaged in Nirjan Bhajan continually. He was such a potent personality, celibate from birth, so much potency there. So in that loud, thunderous voice, he cautioned all those Babajis, and they all heeded what he was saying, and they all turned away. Then, according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we had the good fortune to carry the spiritually blissful body of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj, which was lying on the ground. Some people gave advice to us. When Babaji Maharaj was manifest, he said that his body should be dragged through the streets of Sridham Navadvip so that it may be bathed in the dust of this holy land. It is befitting to observe the command of Babaji Maharaj. Prabhupada then said, although we are fools, inexperienced and offenders, we will still not be disinclined to understand the true meaning of those humility-filled words that were spoken by my Gurudev in order to destroy the pride of worldly-minded people. Understand, he was saying this in a mood of deep humility. It's not for the Shishya to follow that rule, just like with the body of Haridas Thakur. Mahaprabhu himself picked up that body, danced on the beach in Puri. For even Krishna Chandra thinks himself to be successful. Krishna Chandra, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinks himself to be successful if he carries my Sri Gurudev on his head or shoulders. After the departure of Haridas Thakur, Sri Gaurasundar took the spiritually blissful body of Thakur on his lap and danced. What dignity he adorned it with! Therefore, following in the footsteps of Sriman Mahaprabhu, we shall also bear Babaji Maharaj's body across to his Samadhi. And then a few years later, it's described, actually 16 years later, due to flooding, the Samadhi had to be moved. And there was a great clamor over who would claim the Samadhi and give it a new location. So who was the personality who exhumed that Samadhi? Yes, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj was equipped to do that type of seva. They needed like 2 boats to bring it across the Ganga at that time. That's the Samadhi in complete tact, because you can't exhume the body from the Samadhi building. So the whole edifice had to be actually dug out and craned up by pulleys and so on, placed on 2 ferry and brought across here to the Chaitanya Mat, right next to Radha Kund. And then he placed his divine body here. It says, Srila Saraswati Thakur commented that those who were most sincere would be successful in locating the Samadhi, and his disciples were able to do so. That's actually Srila Bhakti Keshav, moving the whole Samadhi intact in a boat accompanied by Sankirtan from Navadvip to Mayapur, where a beautiful Samadhi was built at Brajapatna near Radha Kund. So that's an example of the nishta of his remarkable disciple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and something of the flavor. Try to catch the flavor of this personality. It's not about his external acts really at all. It's about his tremendous mood of separation from Sri Radhika. He is Guna Manjari. He is Kasturi Manjari. This is who he is. And those topics were not so publicly broadcast at that time, just like they're not so publicly broadcast today. They're confidential topics, but nevertheless, we should hear about these glorious topics if we're going to support these remarkable personalities. If these remarkable personalities are high in our prayers, then we have to know what is the nature of their hearts. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and in living try to spread the holy name around. So these personalities are never far away from us. The sadhak simply has to pray with sincerity and the current, the moods of those personalities will certainly flourish within his consciousness. So today, as we've said many times, that when there's an appearance or disappearance day, don't doubt for a second. It's a special occasion. If we're given an opportunity to offer some Pushpanjali, that a window will open from that transcendental world and the current of their mercy will descend to us. If we're wanting that mercy, this is what Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj was able to detect amongst so many different people who came to him. Do they really want that mercy? Somebody was begging for mercy. He took his copins and said, "Here, this is my mercy. You can become renounced. Take these copins." And the man ran away. That was not what he wanted. So we have our material agenda usually in front of our deeper spiritual aspiration. So Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj was expert to detect that. So I'll stop here and hope that the mercy of Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj will continue to benedict my life and encourage me in some type of practice to serve my beloved Gurudev and to render service to the mission of Sachinandan Gaurahari and Rupa Goswami. Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaj ki jai. So now we're going to hear from our dear Nrsimha Prabhu about the glories of Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, who was an exceptional personality also. Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, he takes his birth on this day. This is how exalted this personality was. He takes his birth on this very day. So that can't be just an accidental coincidence. So the Nrsimha Prabhu will give us this explanation of these things. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhuvyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha.
Jnana-timirandhasya Yananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-ummilitam yena tasmai Shri-Gurave Gurave Namo Radhikayai Kudalaya Krishnaya Krishna-bhaktaya Dhammasaya Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Smart Bhakti-vedanta-narayana Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Bharati Goswami Nitinamane Namo Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Dayita Madhava Nitinamane Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So Maharaj was just saying very pointedly how do we want that mercy? Because these personalities, they know. So I'm speaking because Maharaj has told me to. I know what a fallen hypocritical person I am. I don't think Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji would have tolerated for a moment. But we're incredibly fortunate because despite ourselves, we have been brought into this current, this fountain of mercy. So you may have all kinds of desires, we may, to, it's a stormy night, to be in a nice, comfortable, dry place. But sometimes, as luck has it, we're caught in the storm and we're drenched. That's not our intention. So I can honestly acknowledge for myself, there's much in me that is hankering for a nice, comfortable, warm, cozy little material nook. But somehow or other, by Mahaprabhu's intention and by the mercy of all our gurus, we found ourselves outside in the storm of the waters of the compassion of these personalities. That despite ourselves, they are giving us their mercy. So, to speak about Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj. So, first of all, he is a, spiritually speaking, enormous golden personality. We're going to discuss his glories in a moment. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, we've mentioned this a few times in recent days. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was told directly by Mahaprabhu, I am sending my associates to help you. So I come from a background spiritually where this idea was not being promulgated at all. We were very, very neophyte, and we were being trained to have exclusive focus on our Guru Maharaj, on Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, because we were so neophyte that if we'd been exposed to the realities of the glories of these other persons and started hearing from them with all the specialties of their personality, their mission, their way of speaking, we'd have been totally confused. So we began to grow in an environment that was not glorifying these other personalities. And I remember when I'd come to Gurudev and I picked up his amazing book on the biography of Acharya Keshari, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshari Maharaj, on the first page I got stuck because it said he was glorifying the greatest of all the 10th generation descendants of Mahaprabhu. And I was looking, the greatest, and I was totally stuck because that's Prabhupada. That's nobody else, that's Prabhupada. And it took me a while to come to the realization, first of all, I understood, well, every disciple is glorifying his guru as the greatest. That's all right, but still, to say it boldly in front of the whole world, this took a while. But eventually I understood, especially when I read Prabhupada saying how Guru is one. In his 1936 address, Vyasa Puja to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, said, Guru is one, but he appears in infinite forms in order to teach you and I and all others. And then from there, I began to realize, they're all the greatest. They're all the greatest. This is not a material consideration. If I am to be seen as great, you all have to be seen as small. It's relative. So in this world, glorification of somebody depends on putting somebody else down. And of course, I brought that mood as a materialist to when I read Gurudev's words. But eventually, this is the spiritual domain. They're all the greatest. So, and they all have specialties. So, Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, he is the guru of my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, who told us, just like Maharaj was saying at the very end, he was saying that by glorifying these persons, by inviting their presence, by remembering them, their mercy comes to us. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj also told, by not glorifying these persons, we lose our bhakti, our shraddha, our nishta, whatever, because it's an offense. If we don't know that they exist, that's another thing. There are so many Vaishnavas we're not glorifying. We don't have a clue who they are. That's a different thing. So, Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, first of all, he was a very extraordinary person from any standpoint. He was very tall. He was very golden. He was very beautiful. Just like my Gurudev, our Gurudev, he was very strong, very athletic, very qualified. He was brilliant. He came from a very high-class family, very qualified personality, and very unusual. He received the sacred thread at 7, already several years before his father had left, and his mother was a very religious, spiritual, devout person, and she made sure that her child, who was affectionately nicknamed Ganesh, they called Ganesh, that he studied Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, so much so that he memorized, he knew the whole Bhagavad Gita. And he was so serious about his spiritual life and studies that as a very young man, he decided he would go to the Himalayas. He would go to the Himalayas to perform severe austerities, to worship, to meditate on Sri Krishna, and to find his guru, because he knew you have to have a guru, and he'd not seen anybody. So, and at this time he was living in Calcutta, and he went to the Himalayas. He went to Haridwar, then he went to a cave, and he began to perform austerities that were so severe that Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava just said words like incomprehensible. You cannot understand. And in that condition, he then heard a voice that told him, now you can return to Bengal, to Calcutta. The one that you are seeking is there. So he went there, and very quickly, some friends told him about this sadhu. He should come and hear. And immediately he heard Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. That was it. Completely surrendered himself. So the first quality that we can take note of, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta referred to him as being one with volcanic energy. Volcanic energy, meaning he was constantly on fire to perform service. And one time Srila Bhakti Siddhanta asked him, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? And he said, oh Gurudev, what makes me happy is when I am still engaged in a service you have given me that I have not yet completed, and you give me another service. Whereas me, you've given me a service, don't expect to see me for weeks. I did one, that's my quota this month. A totally different mood. You know, Maharaj just gave the most stunning description of something of the nature of a Bhajananandi. Now we have a Goshtianandi. Same platform, but he's performing the duties, responsibility of Guru. So he's coming down, and he's totally different. It's amazing to read these different lives. You know, everything about the Bhajananandis, it's totally incomprehensible. When I was listening, I couldn't help but just remember just something of Dasa Babaji Maharaja, who was also very known and very dear to all these personalities, to Srila Prabhupada. He was contemporary of Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaja. And in the description of his pastimes, he would travel, and without any rhyme or reason at all. Nobody had any idea what he was going to do, where he was going to do, what was going to happen. They'd set up a camp. He might stay there for 3 months. He might even leave before that night. It's the same. It's completely, there's nothing, there's nowhere our minds can like hold on and make sense of them. However, the Goshtinandi is very different, because they are performing, they're living to set examples. Even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans, so many of them, like Gopinath, they are full of exemplary description of our consciousness as materialists. So everything they're doing is for our sake. They've not come to perform bhajan. So, Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, the quality that was most observed and beloved by his godbrothers was he had intense desire to serve his godbrothers, to serve Vaishnavas. And there are many stories of the service that he's offering is to Vaishnavas and godbrothers that have been offensive, critical, harsh, unappreciative. He didn't pay any attention at all. As soon as he heard they were in any kind of need or they visited, he would give everything he had to serve them. Everything. And one example of his serving a godbrother is of our own Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, who was in the interim between his household life and renounced life. He was in Calcutta, and already his material life, thank you, his material life was already just disintegrating. But he was acting in a way to inspire all of us that he was hanging on to his household life. Because he wasn't making any money anymore, his business was failing, his family practically wanted nothing to do with him. He was very, very sick now in Calcutta. His children, nobody was helping at all. And Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj heard of this, and he said, "Oh, Abhay Charnavinda Prabhu, please come here. Let us take care of you." So he came to that month, and he's very sick, and he needed medicine, very expensive medicine. And immediately, Srila Madhava Maharaj said, "Yes, we shall get." Now, something to know about Srila Madhava Maharaj. He was known in the Gaudiya Mat as being the most expert at raising funds, donations. He raised huge amounts for so many projects, the building of so many of the mats. But he did not keep a penny. His own standard was to live in poverty, austerity all the time, and all the brahmacharis, they were always on the edge, always. And I'm going to tell a couple of little pastimes about that. So he immediately said, "Prabhu, I will get all your medicines. Don't worry. Please just rest and gain your health back. We will serve you." So the brahmacharis in Maharaj's mat, they actually came to their Guru Maharaj to complain, to protest their Guru's decision. Can you imagine? Of course we can imagine. We've seen, it's just the disease of Kali Yuga. The Guru is thinking he is the disciple, we've heard, my Prabhu. That's wonderful. Unfortunately, the disciples are thinking they're the Guru. They know best. So they came and they complained, "Oh, Maharaj, with great difficulty we are raising funds." Because also Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he had a style for fundraising for his brahmacharis in general. He did not want them getting big donations from anybody. Because if they did that, too many problems would come. The devotees could get fat and lazy. There'd be this mood, I'm collecting more than you. Let my name be read out after Mangalarti. Different things, and they would get, biggest thing, they'd get complacent, they'd get proud, things like that. And if you're going for a certain amount of money, you get it all from Babaji, then you don't feel so inclined to engage all these other people in service. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta wanted, in fact, the donation boxes that he sent his disciples out with, they only had a hole big enough for small coins. So nobody could give more. So these devotees of Srila Madhava Maharaj, they came and they said, with great difficulty, we're raising not a lot just to keep this mat going. And the amount of Prabhu's medicines is more than the cost of maintaining the whole mat each month. And we're brahmacharis. He's a householder. This is not proper. They're instructing their guru like that. But Madhava Maharaj corrected them, not by, as we could immediately lash out, how offensive, so many different ways. He corrected them how he always did, by his own example of humility and sweetness that just melted the pride of anybody that saw it. He said, all right, I understand, I accept, you can do as you like, but I cannot tolerate that Abhay Vinda Prabhu will not be served. So I will personally go and beg every day myself to make sure that I will do this. So don't you worry. And immediately they're all, oh, Gurudev, oh, because he wasn't saying it. That was his mood. He was going to do that. And so they realized, no, Gurudev, you do as you like, you serve your God brother. He said, yes, my God brother is a very, very special devotee. So now I'm going to read a pastime that's really, really wonderful glorification by Srila Sridhar, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, in regards to a specific Leela. Every year after the Gaura Purnima festival, Shrimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj used to invite many of his godbrothers to attend a function at his Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat at Koleraganj, as we say in Koladweep. During the time of one such occasion, Guru Maharaj, after the completion, now Guru Maharaj refers to Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, because this is written by Srila Bhakti, the Gyan Bharati Maharaj, his disciple. He was engaged in managing the affairs of his Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat, such as bidding farewell to the pilgrims and settling accounts. What that means, just like Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj, they always spent a fortune, much more than what they had. So they were always borrowing lots before every festival, because they wanted every festival to be absolutely fantastic and the pilgrims to feel so wonderful prasad. They spared no expense, no clues, no guarantee. Immediately their condition after the festival, they are in debt. So at this point, Srila Madhava Maharaj is resolving some of this. And despite his sincerest desire and efforts to reach Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in a punctual manner, he arrived late to the assembly of Vaishnavas gathered there. Upon seeing that Guru Maharaj had arrived, Sri Srimad Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, now I'm pretty sure this personality owed a great debt to Srila Madhava Maharaj, because at one point, I'm sure it was him, he was a very beautiful, sweet brahmachari in the mat, and then he left. And what had happened was, Srila Madhava Maharaj heard that his family have come and they've arranged for his marriage. And he, not only that, but that the person who was the priest for the marriage was another godbrother at the mat. But as soon as Hayagriva Prabhu, which is the brahmachari name of Srila Bhakti, although at this time I think he was also sannyas, Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, he heard, he immediately went there. And he came and he asked the father, mother, he said, I have come because I would like to bring Prabhu back to the mat. And the father said, if you can do that, that would be a very good thing. He recognized this is not ideal. And so he preached to, I can't remember his brahmachari name, but he preached to him, and he heard, and he said, yes, you're right. And he left the bride to be in his family right there, and he went back to the mat. And later on, he took sannyas. And when he took sannyas also, he said, I owe my life to Srila Madhava Maharaj, Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj. But at this point, Srimad Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj said, Madhava Maharaj, you've arrived very late today. We've been waiting for you for a long time. So he's really inquiring. Can sound like chastisement, but inquiring because the glories are going to be presented. Guru Maharaj replied, Maharaj, because many pilgrims had come to our mat for Navadvip Dham Parikram, we've incurred a great debt. Today, I was busily engaging in settling these debts and resolving other issues so that the service of the mat can continue. I beg for you and all the other Vaishnavas present to please forgive me for my delay. Now, here comes not quite. Thank you, Prabhu. Not quite in the inquiring mood, but a more. Srimad Bhakti Vichara Yayava Goswami Maharaj then said, Naramban Arabhat Krachit. There's no need of such an ostentatious display. Why have you taken on more responsibility than you can easily handle? Hearing this, Srimad Bhakti Rakshakshida Goswami Maharaj said, Madhava Maharaj, I would like to reply to Pujapad Yayava Maharaj's comment. Yes, Maharaji, as you please, Guru Maharaj replied. For an elephant, Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj stated, a stick of sugar cane is as insignificant as nasavar, snuff tobacco. Whereas for an ant, the same sugar cane stick is like a mountain. An activity that to us may seem like a huge endeavor is nothing but an insignificant task for Pujapad Madhava Maharaj. He can perform such deeds without any difficulty. In this regard, I have first-hand experience. Srila Prabhupada had sent Pujapad Madhava Maharaj, then known as Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari, and me to acquire some land at the meeting place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramananda at Kovur, near the banks of the Godavari River, in order to establish Sriman Mahaprabhu's footprints there. Padapith. After many days of endless endeavor, I said, Hayagriva Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada has sent us here with great hope to obtain a piece of land on which to establish Mahaprabhu's Padapith. My brahmacharya name given by Srila Prabhupada is Ramananda Das, and this is the meeting place of Sriman Mahaprabhu and Sri Ramananda Roy. Although we've tried our best to acquire land, we've not been successful. What is your opinion? Should we stay here longer or should we leave for Madras for preaching? Sometimes a devotee whose faith is not so strong, like us, ordinary devotees, then we may confuse things and we hear that instruction that you should not over-endeavor. If the result's not coming, it's an over-endeavor. That refers to material things, by the way. But, we're a little confused. Maya, Yoga Maya, it's all the same. We fell down from the spiritual world, and Maya is not that. Sorry, it's Yoga Maya's inference. We were pure devotees. We fell down, and we're coming back to our senses. Anyway, there's confusion of the neophytes, material with the spiritual. So, Srila Prabhupada has given an instruction. Srila Madhava Maharaj would die before giving up. This is the mood of this person of volcanic energy. In fact, yes, it's here, good. So he's asked Srila Madhava Maharaj, what do you think we should do? Sri Hayagriva Prabhu replied, it is my feeling we've thus far not made any special endeavors. I think we should continue our efforts for some time more. Srila Goswami Maharaj then mentioned to all the Vaishnavas present, you may estimate his capability from this statement of his. The apparent end point of our attempts was for him a beginning point of fresh endeavors. Later, through his tireless efforts, a large plot of land was acquired in Kovur and a mat was established there. Srila Prabhupada used to describe Sri Hayagriva Brahmachari as having volcanic energy, and Sri Vasudev Prabhu used to call him Sarvagate, one who excels in completing all types of tasks. His Guru Maharaj has said he excels in completing. Where is the question of him not completing this? No, it was too much work. You know, Srila Maharaj was so committed. Sometimes he would come back to the temple, Kolkata, just completed one task, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, something else I would want you to do. I would like you to do this. First, take prasad, take rest. Tomorrow you can begin. As soon as he got the order from his Guru Maharaj, he's gone. Not taking prasad, not even packing any. Immediately, next train out. This is his mood. Repeatedly, always like this. So now, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, my personal view about Pujapad Madhava Maharaj is that he is comparable to none other than Srila Vakrashwa Pandit, an associate of Sriman Mahaprabhu who could dance continuously during kirtan for 72 hours. What does that mean? 72 hours without becoming fatigued and dancing. Beyond the glorification of my Guru Maharaj, now Srila Bhakti Maharaj is saying, this narration relates a significant lesson. Although Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj was senior to my Guru Maharaj, having joined the mat and having been awarded sannyas vesh earlier than him, he did not hesitate in observing and speaking about the good qualities of his junior godbrother. Sri Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost abode, superior to all other Vaikuntha planets, and it remains eternally free from even the faintest scent of jealousy and envy. Back to the first point. Best of the 10th generation. Best. No envy. No competition. All glorification. Because Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj is among the great personalities who are sincere, nirmatsara. Nirmatsara. He's saying sincere, but nirmatsara, without envy. Followers of the loving residents of this very Gokul Vrindavan, he remains free from the material limitations of this world and was therefore able to offer such genuinely humble and non-duplicitous praise. And just see how Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj is using that glorification now to glorify that Vaishnava. This is how it works. The Vaishnavas are nourishing each other constantly in service. So the service of one invokes another one to glorify and get more enlivened. It's all increasing in this world, all cutting. Yes, you did that, but anyway, I have done better. I'm totally different. So not much time. So a couple of other things to also mention. So the Purushottam Gaudiya Mat in Jagannath Puri on Grand Road, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was born. This was owned by non-devotee families, and Srila Maharaj, he recognized we must get this property. Already ISKCON had tried. With all their money and everything else, they could not do. And Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, at this time he's got his own mutt, all the leading personalities. But first of all, he went to his different god brothers and saying, we must acquire this property. And I am going to make arrangements. I will entreat with the persons that own it. But we should all jointly contribute. So he secured different promises from different of his god brothers, but the amount it was nothing. It was nothing. Because none of them, they don't have big mutts. At that time, the big mutt was still Sri Chaitanya Mutt, that was under the control of Srila Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. They had the original mutt, they had so many donations, they had wealth, a lot. So to show the personality of Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj, he went to Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, he said, Maharaj, we should cooperate. Allow me to get the mutt under your name, not my property, but you've already got so many properties, it is appropriate that you can, this property must come under the Gaudiya Mutt. This is the birthplace of our beloved Guru Maharaj. So please, if you give the funding, I will arrange. No, I don't think this is Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. I do not think this is a proper use of our money. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, he did not, our Srila Prabhupada, he did not purchase the birthplace of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That is not a precedent, it is not a necessary thing. So, Madhava Maharaj, all right. So he then considered, and he went back to his god brothers, and they said, Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada, he knew you to be the greatest of the fundraisers. We have full faith and confidence that you can do this. And Srila Maharaj took that as the blessing of his god brothers. He's not thinking of himself, yes, I'm such a good, no. He's acting now, I have your blessings. You are empowering me. So then he got to work. And he met so many difficulties and complications, because those of you that know something in India, in the West, properties is real clear. Here's a deed, here's the money, here's the lawyer, boom, sold. Not here. So many people, and they claim, and they're grabbing land. Like just here, there's a family next to this place that has moved, they've just taken over some of the land. And here, possession is, 99% of the law here. Once you've grabbed it, you've got it. And so many different parts of the family are claiming different parts and all wanting their, and it's very difficult in so many ways. And he's close to completing. At which point, that other mutt who'd already refused to help, they got a lawyer and they applied to the High Court that actually we are the appropriate entity that this birthplace of Guru Maharaj should be registered under. So now this mutt is about, when it is secured, it should immediately be written in our name. And when Srila Madhava Maharaj heard this, he was surprised and hurt, because it's like trying to take the service away at this point. He's not attached. He's not attached. But it happened that suddenly, the next day, one day before those papers were due to be looked at by the judge in the court, it completed. All the paperwork, just magically all completed. Everybody agreed, signed, it's now yours. So that mutt is now its own. And just to say one little story about that mutt, what a glorious place. Srila Bhakti Dayita Maharaj was in charge of, because he was the most magnificent, untrained but expert architect, builder, engineer, designer. He did all this. He was Srila Madhava Maharaj's main man. And Srila Madhava Maharaj, you can't stop. He built mutts in practically every state of India. He's so many and glorious, huge, beautiful mutts. He made many tens of thousands. There's no record, but it's considered most likely 100,000 disciples. Harinam, and they're not just Jai Ho, yes, what's your name? Bill Das. Well, I got a guru, yeah. Here, let's go out tonight. Let's go and have a nice, meal at the restaurant and all the rest. No, they performed bhajan. They did sadhana. An unbelievable person. He would go and perform kirtan, and people, they would be weeping everywhere, but he's singing in Bengali and Punjab. They couldn't understand a word, and they were asked, why are you weeping? The moods, they're breaking my heart. This kind of personality he is. And also, he didn't do it for show. In a couple of different occasions, he'd been seen. He would just be doing some program, and there'd be some beautiful temple, whatever he'd go, and spontaneously he would be singing kirtan and dancing for the pleasure of the deities. And the few people around, their hearts would melt. And then, hearing this, the organizers of the programs, they would want to hold a special program. Maharaj, you please come and you perform kirtan and dance. And he would just not show up. He'd disappear. He's not doing it to entertain and please materialists. It's spontaneous offering to his beloved Radha Krishna. So in so many ways, his preaching was extraordinary, his service was extraordinary, his renunciation, all the qualities of the devotees were just touching the surface, just touching the surface. So Srila Bhakti Bhakti Maharaj was very much involved in there. And they actually deconstructed so much that was there to make way for a much bigger facility. And Bhakti Bhakti Maharaj said, when we excavated that land, that earth, there was a fragrance, a beautiful, sweet, divine fragrance that was there for days. The fragrance of the birth site of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripasindu Charidanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. By your mercy.
Thank you. Very, very spellbinding.
Here, if you can take that, a little mridanga, just a little. It's beautiful.
Huh?
It was like a Vyas Puja.
It is the Vyas Puja. It's Disappearance Day today.
Oh, okay.
Bhakti
It's his appearance day today.
Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj's appearance day today.
Oh.
Yes, yes. Very beautiful. Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
So many exceptional. Actually, the pastime of him helping his godbrothers is really. There are so many anecdotes about that. There was a time in Radhakund, one godbrother had gone away for some time from the mat, but he was suffering terribly in Radhakund, and he somehow wrote to Bhakti Dayita Maharaj immediately said, send him 50 rupees for his medicine. Immediately, didn't even hesitate.
Yes.
Just straight like that. So many of this generous, this was the mood.
And at that time, he had virtually no money. I think he borrowed it. 20 rupees from one person and 30 from another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Jai.
Jai.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Okay, so now we'll have our
Namam Ishwaram Satchidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Yogule Vraja-mandala Yashoda Viyoluka Radhavamanam Aram Vishamatyanta Joyushya Gopya Vedanta Mohonetra Shubham Vijantam Haram Moja Shubhena Satanganetam Oshvasatam Pati Vedangatanta Sita Vedanta Niti Pritsvalila Bir Ananda Kunde Sadosham Nimajata Agavayantam Tadiyashita Geshu Bhatyai Chitavam Una Prematastam Satariti Vande Param Deva Moksha Na Moksha Vadimva Natam Yamine Hanta Ishanapiya Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Sada Vimanasya Bhisma Idam Timokam Loja Avyaktanilai Vitam Gundalai Snigda Rajasya Dogya Muhosamitam Indarakararame Manasaviyastamalam Vaksanate Namo Deva Dhamma Dharananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuta Jalapimanam Vipadrishi Vishyati Dinam Vipano Imam Uverana Jogaya Jai Vayata Vayamachito Bhakti Dayita Tata Prema Bhaktin Sakame Prayacha Namo Shri Namo Nareva Namaste Sudhane Sudhati Dame Adi Yodarayata Vishwasya Dame Namo Radhikaya Gwadiyai Priyayai Namo Nagalilaya Devaya Tudyam Namo Nandi Namo Radhikaya Gwadiyai Priyayai Namo Nagalilaya Devaya Tudyam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Damodara Jaya Damodara Damodara Jaya Damodara Jaya Damodara Jaya Damodara Jaya Damodara Jaya
Jaya Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaja, Jaya Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaja, Jaya Bhakti Dayita
Gaura-Kisora Pujapad Bhakti Dayita Madhava Maharaj ki jai. Pujapad Paramahamsa Srila Gaura-Kisora Dasa Babaji Maharaja ki jai. Vaishnavas ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanandi.
Haribo.
Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavevyo Namaha.